You're listening to the Journey Podcast. Energetic healing can come in many different ways, and today we discuss energetic healing with the ancient tradition of Chinese medicine. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Petra Brunbauer, and with decades of experience with sadness, pain, anxiety, and stress, I finally figured out how to leave all that behind. And this podcast shows you how to break free permanently so you can reclaim your sanity and find the self-esteem and energy to go after the life you desire. With real talk about mental health, holistic healing, and the tough journey of coming out the other end. This is the Journey Podcast. Welcome to today's episode. Energetic healing can take many forms. It works with the body's energy systems to achieve healing, and different practitioners like to approach it in different and unique ways to suit their clients. I had the pleasure of connecting with Dr. Cailin O'Hara, who utilizes her knowledge of traditional Chinese medicine to facilitate energetic healing for her clients. Chinese medicine is an ancient healing system with a variety of approaches to support whole body healing. Using traditional Chinese medicine as a framework, Dr. Cailin is able to help her clients with their life journeys, as well as their emotional and physical challenges. Dr. Cailin is a nationally board-certified doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, diplomate of Oriental medicine, licensed acupuncturist, energy healer, intuitive, and transformative life and business coach. She operates both an in-person healing center and coaches clients internationally through intuitively guided, energetically-based methods. Her passion is empowering and liberating sensitive, empathic women in their healing and entrepreneurial journeys. At her healing center, she specializes in a unique and accelerated mind-body approach for healing the roots of anxiety, low self-worth, and physical health challenges. In transformative coaching, she takes her clients through deeply healing and quantum leaping processes to quickly overcome difficult emotions, reconnect with who they really are, and build successful, purpose-driven businesses and careers. Let's meet Dr. Cailin O'Hara. Hi, Dr. Cailin. It's so great to have you on the podcast. I've been looking forward to getting to chat with you about energy healing because it is such an interesting space for holistic healing as a whole. So welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you. I'm so glad to be here with you.
Yeah, and to get started, do you want to share a little bit about yourself and how you got into this line of work or onto this path?
Sure, yeah. So at this point in my life, I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine, intuitive energy healer type. But when I stumbled into this was a long time ago, like 10 plus years ago, maybe even, it was 2011. August 2011, I was introduced to acupuncture. And I didn't really have any expectations for it. I knew nothing about it. And I certainly didn't think it was going to work. But, a lot of us find things like this when we're at our worst or we're willing to try anything. And after that first session, I felt ways I had never felt before. And within 1 year, I was enrolled in medical school to study Chinese medicine. So for me, it was the experience of the energetics, right? Because there's a lot of ways that we can go about healing, particularly with our bodies, our mental health. And when you introduce that energetic that's beyond our ability to just think, it blew my mind and I knew I was onto something. And so that's how I got into this. I was introduced to it a long time ago.
Wow, yeah, it sounds like you've been on this path for a while and it is something that you're passionate about doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
What did you find in your own healing journey that worked for you, and what are some things that you found that did not really work?
Yeah, so I would say what I'm really passionate about around what doesn't work is doing things or working in ways that diminish us, make us feel like there's something wrong within us that needs to be fixed. So approaching health and our healing and our well-being from this place of something being wrong, being broken, being flawed, being a diagnosis, like things that just felt very limiting, which was how I felt for most of my life. And then in my late 20s-ish was around the time I found acupuncture and Chinese medicine and this really holistic approach to healing, which was more empowering, which had answers, which just made me feel like there was always a way and gave me so much hope. Actually, even before Chinese medicine, I started studying things like the law of attraction as well, and learning that I had the power within me, that it was going to come from me, that I could do it, that it was me was really the turning point. Thinking prior to that, that it was something outside of me, something that I was missing, something I was lacking, something that somebody else knew, kept me in a state of that. And when I changed it within myself, then things started to change. And that's when I found kind of the path that I'm on now. So I'd say what works for me in a, like, I guess we're philosophical right now, but what works for me is coming from a place inside of ourselves that we can do it, we can heal, we are the answer, we are the way. And then that lines us up with things that get us there. And feeling disempowered, broken, flawed, etc. is not it. Then I think what we're guided to from that mentality and from that energy really works. So that's why so many different things work for so many different people at so many different times, because it has to fit us with where we are and with the mentality and the energy that we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really important point that you touched on. That really has to come from within ourselves, because a lot of people look outside themselves for something that might help them.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe you're bang on the money there when you say that it has to come from within ourselves, that healing has to start with us and it has to start within us.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe also that we have the wisdom, the innate wisdom for our body to know what it's supposed to be doing on this healing journey. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's in us, like if you think about something like acupuncture or energy medicine, it's something activated inside of us. It was already there. And that's so thrilling to know when you're trying to heal and you're like, ooh, it's in me. Like I have it. I've got it. I just have to find my way back to it.
Yeah, that is true. It's a bit of almost like an uncovering and encouraging your body to follow what it actually already knows.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that that is sort of the key of our healing and success, or do you believe that there's something else at the root of that?
Do you mean like, do I think that it's something within us and that will be the way, or that there's probably more to it?
Or do you think that there's more than that too?
That's an interesting question. Let's see. I think I tend to approach everything at this point from a similar perspective, whether it's like health or business or relationships or whatever. And if I feel into that, to me, it's all rooted in the connection with the self. I really do think everything is internal. And then we interact with our environments, our world, our healers, or whatever. And then there's that relationship that takes place that then kind of takes things to the next level. I really do deeply think it's all from inside of us. It's something within us. And that gets expanded or activated or elaborated upon by the things that we're interacting with. But truly, it's something from within.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's exactly what it is. So when you say that you're working with energy, what does that mean and what does that look like? And then why is this really important in our healing?
Oh, I love that. It's that thing that we can't touch, right? So it's interesting to try to explain it. What it makes me think first is that as a feeling and intuitive being, which I am, and I think most of us probably are, right? I can only speak for people I know and me, but it's something that we're aware of, something that we sense, something that's beyond the mind's ability to even understand at times. And it's what everything is. Everything is energetic in nature, obviously, right? But we've become so mentally focused and so like kind of practical, logical, linear, whatever, and we lose sight of the profundity that it is to like exist on earth inside of energy and to be people inside of this energetic experience. So I think it's actually sometimes very hard to find simply because, or to work with or understand, simply because of the way we're approaching it as something that we can see or think up or whatever. But it's something so much bigger than that. And it's so obvious that I don't even think we're always aware of it. It's right here. It's here right now. It's here as you and I talk. It's something that's always present for us and something that we're made of. And it's so obvious and easy. I think as people, we're just so conditioned to stay in our brains and in our minds and inside of thought processes and things that will never get us there. The way to access it, the way to work with it is actually to leave your mental space, to leave the mind, to leave the thinking, to leave the programming, and to move into feelings, sensations, experiences. And then the art of it is learning how to do both, like to be able to think about it and look at it and analyze it, but to really get into the felt sense of it, which is what Chinese medicine is, right? I mean, in Chinese medical school, a lot of what we learn alongside of the medicine, the literal medicine, is working with qi, energy, right? Like inside of ourselves, understand what it is, and then to be able to work with that with other people.
Right.
So I think it's always there. It's here. It's for all of us. We're all tapped into it. We're all aware of it. It's what intuition is, all this is. But we have to challenge ourselves to get out of our minds to be able to really experience it and work with it.
Mhm. And when you work with your clients on traditional Chinese medicine or with energetic healing, what does that look like? Like, do you follow a process, or what kind of things do you do? And what could somebody kind of imagine that would feel like to work with you?
So whether we're working in my office one-to-one, or I'm working with coaching clients, or whoever I'm working with, it's definitely a felt experience. So for me, what's super crucial is that I have a system that I understand, and then I layer on top of that working with it intuitively and energetically. So I understand Chinese medicine. I was trained in it. We work inside of systems. So anything that we go to do, we usually are following a system. Like you get a new job, you follow a system they teach you, and then eventually you start, at least I do, start really making it your own. So I start inside of like a simple system, pretty complex, but a system that I have been trained in and taught in and whatever. And that kind of provides like the grounding for us, but I don't really talk about it. I don't really get into it with people. It's not necessary. So I'm coming from this basis of understanding, hence the mind, like the conditioning, whatever. And then I talk to people. I just talk. And I think some of this is just my gift. What I've always had is my ability to feel people, understand people, sense people. And really what it's about is holding space for them to be true, to be open, to be honest, to be held in a space of limitlessness. I'm not putting anything on them. And inside of those conversations, a lot starts to be illuminated. A lot starts to be felt and understood. And if we're just in a conversation capacity, I start moving the conversation energetically to where they want to be, which is kind of hard to explain, but we do. If we are moving into a treatment, right? So we talk, we get things going. It feels like we're really making some progress in terms of what it is that they want. Then when we move into the energetics of their body, of their being, that's when they lie down and relax. And for me, it's accessing it in a felt experience, like intuitively. So I could stand beside somebody and I can start to hear, receive, or feel information about them. In Chinese medicine, we have a diagnostic where you feel their pulses, and we're trained to do that. And the pulse tells you so much about somebody. And the more that you feel pulses, the more you learn what they mean. So you feel pulses, you can maybe hear somebody's emotional experience. You can tell what's happening in their body, their digestion, their nervous system. So you start using all these energetic information as a diagnostic. And then you start working with the energy. So in the system of Chinese medicine, we're using, one of the things we use is acupuncture. So we go to very specific places that mean certain things on a person, aka we're working inside of a system. And then we activate those places, and it creates real physiological, energetic, hormonal, all kinds of changes in the body. And then we use that to kind of guide the energy back into a balanced state. But really, it's everything inside of them that we're working with cooperatively to support them. So I do that either in conversation or in treatment or whatever. But I think the most important thing is that I never feel like I'm doing something to somebody else. I'm never controlling their energy, nothing. Like I feel like a conduit, and I'm supporting them in their journey back to themselves, to their wholeness, to their home, to their truth. And it's my job to see them as pure potential and limitlessness. because whatever I start to project on them will change the outcome for them. So I really have to get out of the way.
Mhm. Wow, that is really interesting. Thank you so much for explaining that.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. It's very much a felt thing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Now, I am wondering, because you were talking about acupuncture and taking pulses, is this something that you can strictly do in person, or are there components that people can experience online as well?
Well, that's fascinating, right? Because we can work with all of these things without somebody being in our presence. You just have to feel into it. You know, like when people do distance healing, like energy healing from afar, we have the ability to impact everything without being in close proximity to it. So I'm working with somebody, say it's virtual, I'm not feeling their pulses, but you could say that we are on the pulse of something when we're on the subject of something that they're struggling with. So we're feeling the pulse of that. We're feeling the dissonance or the harmony or the instability in it just based on the conversation, right? So if somebody's sharing something with me, like if I'm business coaching with somebody and a fear is coming up with them, I can feel the pulse of it. I can feel if it's erratic, if it's deficient, if it's X, Y, and Z. And then I can guide the conversation in ways to themselves. So that actually moves back into balance just through speaking.
Hmm.
But some people have skill sets or preferences where they want to do it visually with somebody. They want to guide somebody through a process, or they can feel in their own selves an energy that they can then send out to somebody else. So I think we're really using ourselves as the instrument if we're the quote unquote healer, and we're using our natural instrumentness. So like whatever we kind of naturally can do. So for me, I'm doing it in my way and somebody else might do it differently, but it's using our own instrument that we are,
Mhm.
because we're all so different, to work with energy, right? And I think the more that we are in our natural state when we do that, the better the results. So things can happen extremely quickly when people say it's like quantum healing or collapsing time around somebody's desire or healing and they're getting really miraculous results. I think it's because of that, because we're working with it in a really natural and energetic way.
Mm. Wow, that is really fascinating. I've had experience with acupuncture before and also with Reiki, for example, which also is energy healing, right?
Mhm.
And my results have been extremely positive and very quick. As you
Yeah,
said, I can definitely relate to that. And I almost feel like doing energy healing is almost like we're just removing blockages so that our body can just work a bit more efficiently in the way that it was meant to.
absolutely.
Once those blockages get worked out, it doesn't take much time for it to all fall back into place. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
I think that's really important too, to emphasize that it's not hard work. You know, it doesn't take a lot of effort. I mean, there's effort there, right? But I think things can be easier for us than maybe we thought and more available to us than maybe we realized. And sometimes we can work so hard in our own healing or on our journey. And yet there could be something that could support us in making it easier. And so I
Mhm.
really definitely want to emphasize, like, I always tell people, I'm like, you've worked hard enough. Like, you've worked at this long enough. This is a whole lifetime in the making. Like, let's let it be easy on you now. Let's let it move quickly. Let's let this be a miracle for you,
Yeah.
finally, right? Where you don't have to work so hard.
Yeah. Wow.
Mhm.
I love that. So I'm wondering also, does this energy healing work for mental health issues? So do people come to you if they have low mood or depression, or they have anxiety or panic attacks or a lot of stress? Do you work with them through that as well?
Yeah. So that's my preference and my specialty is working with the emotions.
Mhm.
I think the physical is just connected to that. So to me, the physical can be pretty easy to shift. It's more working on that deep emotional level, which I think is also the gateway to who somebody really is, to their spirit, to their soul, is through the emotions.
Mhm.
So, yes, absolutely. I mean, the things I love working with most are people's emotional states, their anger, their anxiety, their insecurities, all of that, hands
Mhm.
down. Energetic is the way for sure.
Yeah. Wow. That is such a great tool that people can start using if they are experiencing those issues, because it seems like it is a very gentle way of healing as well, and very effective way of healing. So great
Hmm.
thing to try out for sure.
Absolutely.
Could you go over some of your own programs and services that you offer so that listeners could get a feel for how they could connect with you or how they could work with you in their healing journey?
Yeah. So if people are local or can come locally, which I'm in Phoenix, Arizona in the States, but that's an option, but it's not required. Some people do come from far and wide to experience the in-person aspect of it. But I also have been coaching internationally for years, and that seems to work fabulously. But my whole method is accelerated. This doesn't need to take a long time. Let's just get you to where you want to be as quickly as possible. So I get to work with people in pretty short timelines, a handful of weeks, maybe a couple of months, in anything that I do to help people from wherever they are get to where they want to be. And then I can continue to work with people and support people in a more loose style. Like they get to do it, work with me intuitively thereafter. Like, ooh, I feel like I still need this or that. But I like to help people have epic breakthroughs in a really short period of time. And I can do that in virtual coaching. And currently in the way that I work with people, if they're working with me in a coaching capacity, they also have 24 access to talk to me whenever, because that's how we get results. Not like, let me talk to you once every now and then. That's great. But if you feel energetically held and supported by somebody, incredible things are possible for them. So those are the two primary ways I work with people, one-to-one. And then sometimes I have a ton of online resources for people that are free. And sometimes I run online programs. My kind of passion at this point in my life is particularly helping people not just overcome difficult emotional states and anxiety and past traumas and feeling like they're not good enough. But then as they rise above that and feel really connected to the truth of who they are, then so often they then feel called to help other people or to live in a more fulfilled and inspired way, create their own business or advance in a career or call in a relationship or whatever the case may be. That's where I'm working with people at this point. So things will probably be coming as far as that goes, but really just find me, follow me online, because you can feel it transmitted either in a podcast or an Instagram post, or if you really want to take the dive, you can work with me one-to-one.
Yeah, thank you so much for going over that. Dr. Cailin also has two of her own podcasts called Soul Level Whole and the Trust Yourself podcast. And you can listen in from your favorite podcast provider to her podcasts. And we will be linking to all of Dr. Cailin's offerings in the show notes as well. So be sure to check those out for how to connect with her and also her resources that she mentioned. And we'll be updating those notes for you. Well, this has been another incredible episode, and I really hope our listeners have enjoyed the journey into energetic healing as much as I have. I have learned so much today with you here. It has been fantastic chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's so fun to talk about this and talk about it in interesting ways that maybe people hadn't thought of before, to give them some, open your mind a little bit to what's possible for you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I love, is that we get to highlight things that people may not have heard of before and really show them all the ways that are out there that healing can really be addressed from different modalities, different ways to look at things.
Absolutely.
I'm always such a pleasure to speak with my guests on the podcast and showcase and highlight new modalities of healing.
Yeah, agreed. I'm happy to be part of that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Cailin, and take care.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen in. If you enjoy the Journey podcast, please subscribe, share on social media, and leave us a review. And be sure to get your copy of our brand new ebook called Break Free. Sending you love and courage, and see you next week. Until then, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and the Journey blog.